I'm making an offer that you cannot deny. You won't be laughing when...
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So Solomon 92, aka Solomon Johannes, here with another review. And this review I'm going to be discussing about WWE's latest event they were holding in Perth, Australia, in the RAC Arena on October 11th, 2025 for WWE Crown Jewel, which took place a few days ago in Perth, Australia. So I'm going to be discussing about a few matches on the card tonight. Discussing about the Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes, a few matches I'll be discussing, and about AJ Styles versus John Cena, etc. So I'll be discussing about match card tonight. Throughout the review, I'll be discussing about tonight. Many matches I'll be discussing about. Which took place in down under in Perth, Australia. I'm not Australian, but I am from England as such. So I'll be discussing about the pay-per-view, Premium Live as such. So stay tuned, and maybe you can look forward to my opinionated remarks over these matches I'll be discussing about later on. So stay tuned. Alright then, so the first match of the night of the WWE Crown Jewel live event that took place in Perth, Australia was the Australian Street Fight between Bronson Reed and Roman Reigns. And so, beginning the match, about the 5-10 minutes of the match, it was really rough. It was really very edgy, really rough style match between Reigns and Reed. During the match itself, they were exchanging right hands, exchanging a lot of grapple holds as such, the outside of the ring as such, he introduced the baseball bat during the match, kind of like a comedic promo, during the match at one point. Roman Reigns on Bronson Reed, he uses steel steps, using weapons as such, a lot of things dished out on Reed during the match outside of the ring, he dished out the baseball bat, the kendo stick as such, a lot of weapons were used outside of the ring as such, steel steps, as I mentioned before earlier. So at some point, the Usos came out, and they came out to give a bit of assistance to their cousin Roman Reigns, and then out of nothing, I would have imagined, a Braun Breaker came out and he gave a helping hand to his associate or his friend for something there, Bronson Reed, during the match, and then he managed to pick up assist Bronson Reed by picking him up on his shoulders, and powerbomb him right through the announce table. Full first, causing a lot of damage to Roman Reigns there, and then they were back into the ring, and then I think at one point Bronson Reed was about to Roman Reigns was about to spear Bronson Reed through the announce table set up on the corner of the ring, and then he dodged it, and then he managed to Jey Uso, I think it was Jimmy or Jey Uso, got accidentally speared by his cousin Roman Reigns into the announce table, which was set up on the corner of the ring, accidentally. And then out of nothing, Bronson Reed managed to hit the tsunami on Roman Reigns. He picks up the 1, 2, and the 3, and just like that, Bronson Reed picks up the victory, and Roman Reigns is not victorious this time during the triumphant effort he put on against Bronson Reed. So Bronson Reed wins the match. Great victory for him, and greatest Australian Street Fight right rules. On to the second match tonight. So the second match of the night was Tiffany Stratton facing off against Stephanie Vega for the Crown Jewel Women's Championship, which was meant to be contested between these two women tonight. So first 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes of the match, it was very straightforward. It was very straightforward wise. It was very exhibitional. It was very straightforward. Staging moves. Staging a lot of DDTs, a lot of suplexes and stuff. During the 5-10 minutes. So it was okay during the 10 minutes. A lot of pinfall covers as such. And then at one point during the latter ending half of the match, where they were attempting to hit him, Tiffany managed to hit a move, or attempting to hit a move on Stephanie Vega, but Stephanie managed to counter it, and then she was hit by a grappling move hold by Stephanie Varga. Stephanie Varga managed to get Stephanie onto the floor, and then Stephanie Varga managed to get onto the top rope at turnbuckle, and then jump off and do the corkscrew splash onto Tiffany Stratton, and then she covered then Tiffany Stratton 1, 2, and 3. Stephanie Varga gains the victory, and then she's now gained the victory as a new WWE Women's Crown Jewel champion. And then Triple H is there to present the Crown Jewel ring and the Crown Jewel belt, which is to be presented to her, and to have it presented around her waist by Hunter Helmsley himself, the chief operating officer of the content officer, I should say, of the Rolex Entertainment currently. So congratulations to her on her victory, and it's a very triumphant victory for people in women's division, for people who are up from the NXT division. So nice to see that what Triple H is doing for the women's division as such. So on to the third match tonight. Right, so the third match tonight was John Cena facing AJ Styles. So it was a singles match. Basically, it was an exhibition match. It was basically not non-title match for any titles defended between John Cena and AJ Styles. So let me give my brief analysis on the match itself. So it started off really technical, really graphical in some aspects during the first 5-10 minutes of the match itself. You know, AJ Styles delivered a number of execution moves to John Cena and such. You know, jumping off the third top rope. You know, flying punch. You know, delivering a few moves to John Cena himself. You know, John Cena delivered a few attitude adjustments. She delivered a few submission holds on AJ Styles at some point. So there was a lot of kickouts. There's a lot of 2.5 kickouts at some point between AJ Styles and John Cena. And when it became, when he got to the latter and ending towards the ending of the match itself, you know, John Cena managed to counter one of AJ Styles' move from the top rope, where he managed to grab AJ into a fireman's carry, not submission, but into a dropping hold, and he managed to grab him onto his shoulders and deliver a tombstone pile driver, you know, making a reference to The Undertaker's finishing maneuver. And then he picked up AJ Styles again, and then he delivered an AA attitude adjustment, and then he covered in 1, 2, 3, and John Cena defeats AJ Styles to make a milestone on his retirement this year from the Rolex Entertainment, which should be around November or Madison Square Garden, I believe. So we'll see what happens in the road to his retirement, and congratulations on Cena for getting a victory over AJ Styles. On to the fourth match tonight. Right, so on to the fourth match of the night of the Crown Jewel, which was emanating from Perth, Australia at the RAC Arena. So the fourth match was the Kabuki Warriors versus Rhea Ripley with the tag team accomplice of Euro Sky. So they both made both their entrances, the Kabuki Warriors and Euro Sky and Rhea Ripley. So there was a pretty fast-paced match. It was a fast-paced women's division match, I would say, from my perspective. You know, there was a lot of moves. There was one point where one of the competitors jumped somersaulted out of the ring into the other opponents in the ring. You know, they were doing a lot of drop kicks, a lot of high-flying moves. You know, high kicks. You know, from both tag teams. When they tag team, there was some hot tags made. You know, there was a lot of fast-paced, enthusiastic moves they were hitting here for the crowd. You know, many huge pops they were for the crowd at these occasions during the match itself. So there was a lot of that aggressive attitude that Rhea Ripley possesses whenever she competes, you know, where she delivers those high pressing and power bombing moves, where she grabs them and she slams to the mat, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, because towards the latter ending of the match itself, you know, I think Euro Sky managed to, I think it was Rhea Ripley managed to deliver one of the moves to the opponent here to the mat. And then Euro Sky managed to jump off the top rope as such, hitting her finisher, and she managed to get the 1, 2, 3 victory. And Rhea Ripley and Euro Sky are the winners of the match, and then they gained the victory during the match itself. So congratulations to both tag teams. So to Euro Sky and Rhea Ripley, I would say. So on to the main event of the cut match card out to the to the main event of the fifth match of the night. Stay tuned. Right. So now we're on to the fifth match in the main event of tonight's not tonight, sorry. The main event of Crown Jewel, emanating from Perth, Australia, which is consisting of Cody Rhodes, the current WWE Undisputed World Champion, going up against Seth Rollins for the WWE Crown Jewel Championship. So Cody Rhodes is coming into the match as the current world title holder, but he's not defending the title that night. But he'll be going up against Seth Rollins for the Crown Jewel Championship. So both men stood in the ring together with the Crown Jewel title displayed by the referee in the ring there. So, as you know, Cody Rhodes, he's very in the beginning of the matches, wherever he competes, he's always very lively. He's a very lively character in the ring. He's always the one where he's the one that makes the first step, the first blood in the ring or whatever. So you would always imagine him to make a good impact whenever it comes to main events or whenever it comes to the first signal or impact or such. So it was good for Cody in the first 5 or 10 minutes, and then Rollins managed to retaliate. He managed to get one over on Cody Rhodes, count a few moves, they were outside of the ring, they were hitting a lot of moves, on top of the fans barricade, to the ringside as such, going all over the ringside, going back inside the ring as such, and at one point in the match, Seth Rollins done a coast-to-coast headbutt on Cody Rhodes attached to the top turnbuckle on the other side of the ring, pretty similar to how Shane McMahon used to deliver the coast to coast, through his drop kicks, from the other side to the sort of turnbuckle, using the dustbin, in his hardcore matches. He competed in back in several decades, back when he was competing. So, yeah, and after that, I believe Cody Rhodes managed to attempt a crossroads on Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins managed to counter the crossroads signature finisher by Cody Rhodes and converting it into a because I think he managed to counter it by using a watch as a tool to basically get one over by Cody by using a watch that he had in his hand, and he basically hit Cody in the face with it, and then Cody was dazed out and he managed to hit a stomp on Cody, and then he got into the second top buckle, and then Cody was waiting to be pounced on by a second stomp, and then he managed to get the cover 1, 2, 3 on Cody. And Seth Rollins is the Resistance, the Crown Jewel champion of 2025 from Perth, Australia. So, congratulations to Seth Rollins. He's the world champion. Not world champion, but he managed to become the Crown Jewel champion 2025. Triple presented him his ring and his belt around his waist. So, congratulations to Seth Rollins. And, yeah, it would be better if the event was emanating from Riyadh, Saudi, if it was in Saudi, because usually Crown Jewel events they usually do the events in Saudi, in the Middle East, but this year they wanted to have it emanate from Australia for a change, because they used to Super Showdown or whatever, or different names for events they do in different continents, in the UK, in France, in Ireland as such. So, I think it's better because of what they're doing with WrestleMania taking place the next 2 years, with Royal Rumble taking place next year around January as such. So, they need to do things in different countries rather than just doing it in a designated country for that particular name of that event, I would say. So I'm not going to say it's one of the best shows I've seen this year. Maybe one of my least favorites. I wouldn't say it's the worst show ever, but there was only about maybe 1 or 2 good matches, I would say. Maybe I would just say maybe I don't know. Maybe this main event was alright, or maybe AJ Styles vs John Cena was okay. I don't know. Either the two of them, I would say. But I didn't see CM Punk compete. I didn't see more superstars compete. Maybe it's just next pay-per-view event, or maybe they're doing anything for their alternate motives or such. Anyways, but anyways, I'm gonna end my view there for WWE Crown Jewel 2025, which emanated from Perth, Australia. So if you'd like to make a comment on, or if you'd like to make a judgment about my review, you can just go to my channel on the top of the screen here. If my finger's pointing quickly up here, www.youtube.com/@Solomon92. Subscribe if you want to make a judgment if you like. Comment, share your opinions if you want, and subscribe to me if you want. Subscribe buttons up there, my pointing fingers up there if you want to, and be welcome if you like. Subscribe to me if you like. So, anyways, thank you for watching my review, and take care, guys. The next review will be coming very soon. Thank you. Goodbye.
My fellow citizens, my fellow. We will prevail.
We're ready, Mr. President.
My fellow citizens, today represents a dark day in our history. With this monstrous, unprovoked attack, no country is safe from their reach. For all those serving on our behalf, our prayers go with you. For the Pax Armada mercenaries who are watching now, I have a message. It's over.
Let's get to work.
Come, your masters of war. Hear the bells of big guns. Hear the hide behind walls.
30 seconds.
They turn and run farther when the fast bullets fly.
Move fast. Move decisive. Dagger on my 6.
Send it.
And I hope that you die. And your death will come soon. And follow your casket by the